Here's a more detailed breakdown of the mining process. Once your mining computer comes up with the right guess, your mining program determines which of the currently pending transactions will be grouped together into the next block of transactions. Compiling this block represents your moment of glory, as you have now become the temporary banker of Bitcoin, who gets to update the Bitcoin transaction ledger known as the blockchain. The block you've created, along with your solution, is sent to the whole network so that other computers can validate it. Each computer that validates your solution updates its copy of the Bitcoin transaction ledger with the transactions that you chose to include in the next block. As you can imagine, since mining is based on a form of guessing for each block, a different miner will guess the number and be granted the right to update the blockchain. Of course, the miners with more computing power will succeed more often, but due to the laws of statistical probability, it is highly unlikely that the same miner will do so every time.
Mining difficulty. This is a number that controls how hard your computer has to work to create a new block. And this isn't a fixed number. It's automatically adjusted every 2016th block. The system looks at how fast these blocks were created. Normally, this should take exactly 2 weeks. If more blocks were created in that time period, the difficulty is increased. And if less blocks were created, the difficulty is reduced. That seems simple enough, but why would the difficulty have to be adjusted every 2 weeks? We don't get massive computer upgrades every 2 weeks, right? Well, the system also has to compensate for the amount of people that are mining. More miners mean that there is a higher chance of someone solving the puzzle in a shorter time frame, which means the difficulty should be increased to maintain it. And the opposite is true as well. If a lot of people stop mining, the creation of blocks will be longer, and thus the difficulty has to be reduced.
Calculating your profit is as simple as visiting this webpage in a description, selecting your hardware, currency, electricity costs, and clicking Calculate. If your hardware is not on this list, it most likely will not give you a decent profit, but the second calculation method later in this video will give you a solid answer. If you're mining with a CPU and GPU or multiple GPUs inside of NiceHash, calculate them separately and add up the total. As for electricity costs, this is on an individual level, so you'll have to find your last month's bill and see what your electricity rate is going to be. Once you click Calculate, it's going to show daily, weekly, and monthly earnings with electricity factored in. A GTX 1060 with 6GB of VRAM will earn a bit over $38 a month. Not too shabby. That's going to wrap up the simple NiceHash method.
How does a mining pool work? With an increasing number of miners, the Bitcoin network experienced a surge in mining difficulty. It becomes impossible for solo miners to mine Bitcoin. As such, the mining pool is created. No longer limited by geographic locations, mining pools combines computing power of miners and mining farms worldwide. Mining pools process transactions as the miners compete for the right to update the ledger. With the aggregated computing power, the mining pool has a higher chance of successfully mining Bitcoins. The pool will then allocate the block reward in proportion to each miner's computing power contribution. Compared to solo mining, joining a mining pool creates a steady income stream.